Hey there, and welcome to For Dragonflies and Me. This is Jean Roman, and you are at another episode of Jean. Well, today's not quite in the kitchen or in the garden, probably a little bit more in the garden than not. Today, I'm going to talk to you about planning an outdoor wedding. And if you've been following me on my social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram, you would have seen some posts that I just recently did on my outdoor backyard reception. Dave and I were married actually in the fall of 2022, but I wanted a summer wedding and I wanted it in my backyard. And for those of you who have been following me for a while, you know that I moved to this new home in December of 2022. So when we were thinking about our outdoor wedding reception, we were thinking about it at my old home where I had 7 acres, a 2 acre backyard, a beautiful entertaining space in my patio and my deck, and then the upper level of my pole barn, which was a fan cave, and had it turned into, some inclement weather. We had plenty of room in my home, but we moved. And so my home here, I do not have quite the space. I downsized my home, not quite half, but maybe about 2/3. I still have about 2/3. And then, but I only have a little backyard in a, regular subdivision. So I had to make some changes, and that included downsizing my list from 100 guests to 50 guests. And the reason for that is not that we couldn't have hosted 100 guests outside, but we could not have comfortably hosted 100 guests inside. 50 was much more feasible. So I have created, like when I do my gardening podcasts and blogs and YouTube videos here, I generally create a beautiful PowerPoint, which I've done again today, and then I read through that, but then I interject. So today I have created a PowerPoint for you to get, the really nitty gritty details of creating that outdoor wedding wedding and reception. And as well as what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about each step along the way and what I did. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And if this is your first time here, welcome to For Dragonflies and Me. I'm Jean Roman, and I am so thrilled that you're here. Before I get into it, though, as I always say, please be sure to smash that subscribe button, smash the like button, and follow me here and at all of my other platforms, including my podcast, my blog, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. I've got great content that goes out onto each of those platforms pretty much daily. And in the summer, I don't write as much because I'm so busy in my garden. And then pretty soon, we'll be canning here a lot, friends. So now I'm going to jump into this episode and I'm going to share my screen. So let's do that. Make it a slideshow so it's real pretty for you. And presto magico. Or welcome to For Dragonflies and Me, tips and tricks for the home and garden. I'm Jean Roman again, and today's topic is how to plan the ultimate outdoor wedding and a checklist of how to plan your dream backyard wedding and reception. So let's dive into that, friends. I've got a lot to talk about today. So if, again, you've been following me on any of my social media platforms, you would have seen many recent posts on my outdoor backyard wedding and reception. As you also know, I love to party plan and create beautiful outdoor spaces. Most of you may know I retired in December also from my professional career of event management. And so now I'm just working on creating incredible content for all of you. And not that I don't miss doing what I do, I was doing before, but now I'm just doing it in a different way. But planning our backyard wedding reception took a lot of time and effort. And if you're thinking about planning your outdoor wedding reception, you definitely want to check out my tips and tricks on how to organize and plan that perfect event. So here we are. These are most of the pictures that I'm going to be showing you in this episode are from my wedding. There's a few other ones that I took offline, but 99% of them are from our reception. So why host your own? Besides a financial savings of doing your own backyard wedding, it allows you to host your friends and families in your personal space. And that was pretty much one of the main reasons that we decided to do that. But one of the biggest benefits of having an outdoor wedding is the ability to take advantage of the natural beauty of your surroundings. Whether you're surrounded by towering trees or rolling hills, the natural scenery can provide the perfect backdrop for your wedding photos. It also allows you to incorporate nature into your wedding decor, which can be fun and a unique way to personalize your special day. And I did do that. Obviously, again, if you guys, for who's listening right now, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you've also saw that Dave and I and the boys have created that outdoor patio that you see, built my greenhouse, and installed my raised bed garden. So some of the photos are there. I did not hire a professional photographer for this. I did for my our engagement photos, which would have been last week's podcast. So if you're listening to today's podcast, you definitely want to check out the two previous ones from before this week. The first one was Christa Graham Wedding and Events. Incredible gal that will make your special day incredible, whether it's a backyard wedding or at a traditional venue. And then Hassen was an incredible photographer. He did some beautiful engagement photos for Dave and I, and he was really accommodating. So you definitely want to check those out. So as you can see, we utilized our backyard space for this reception. And so let's move on and talk more. So again, what are a few more of the benefits? Well, another benefit of outdoor weddings is the opportunity to customize your wedding to your liking. What's your tastes and your decor favorites. This is about you and what you like. And so with an outdoor wedding, you have the flexibility to choose your own decor, seating arrangements, and lighting. And this allows you to create a unique atmosphere that reflects your personal style and preferences. And as you can see here, we did that. I was able to create this space that is what we loved. And you're going to see a lot more photos. So, outdoor weddings tend to be more cost effective, which I did mention, than traditional indoor weddings. With an outdoor wedding, you don't need to worry about renting a venue, which can be one of the most expensive aspects of a wedding. Additionally, outdoor weddings often require fewer decorations as the natural scenery provides its own decor. And this can help you save money while still creating a beautiful and personalized wedding. If you take a quick peek here, in the first picture, I did purchase, we rented the tent and 6 of the tables. I did have our own tent, which you can kind of see to the left of the tiki bar there, which is where we had our bar. But I purchased on Amazon a package of 6 black 8-foot tablecloths for like $52, and it was going to cost me over $120 to rent 6. So I, again, entertain a lot, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to just buy these. And then because I use my Prime credit card often, I had actually $40 in like spending money. So they literally cost me $14. And as you can see along the tables, I did go to Kroger's and purchase probably 3 bouquets. I spent probably about $40-50 on bouquets. And then I used my beautiful hydrangea bush in the front of my house and the hosta leaves to fill in those bouquets. So, and then I also went to the Dollar Tree and bought ribbons that said just married, bride and groom, and intertwined those into the center of the tables. I also used some glass bowls, and then I also took some of the pea stone out from my patio area and garden, put little tea lights in these little votive holders, and made candles. And so super, super easy. I bought a 50-pack or 100-pack of votive lights from Walmart, cost me a few bucks. And the ribbons, I bought 6 and they cost me $1 each. So you can really incorporate a lot of inexpensive decor. If you also look in the center photo behind my tiki bar, you're going to see these as well. But these were some A-frame signs that I've used at many parties. Dave took the hinges off, but we saved them so we can put them back together because I also use them at the market. And we created our food and drink menu boards. So you're going to see those much more in detail, but we hung those on the privacy fence behind the food area and the tiki bar. So again, this allows you to utilize the space, to utilize what you have, and to create a beautiful environment. You can also see the balloons we blew up. I bought a couple bags. I think we blew up like 40 or 50 balloons, put them along the deck, along the tents. So you'll see those as well. And then I'll get more into the lighting later. But there we go. An outdoor backyard wedding provides a beautiful and intimate setting that can be customized to your liking. It also offers the opportunity to take advantage of the natural beauty of your surroundings and can be a very cost-effective option in comparison to traditional weddings. So now, let's talk about the steps into getting ready for this. Choosing the perfect location for your backyard wedding. Well, we had this space right outside of the raised bed garden and up against the patio and greenhouse area between the deck, and that fit a 10 by 20 tent perfectly. So we chose this area because it was centrally located and that was right across from where we were going to do the ceremony, which allowed our guests to either sit or stand. They ended up standing for a portion of it. And then to the right of the, or to the left of this was also the patio area where people could sit and stand as well. So when it comes to planning your outdoor wedding, choosing that perfect location really is key. Before you start looking at venues, consider your budget, guest list, and personal preferences. Once you have a general idea of what you're looking for, you can start exploring different options. So if you just feel like you don't have the space for an outdoor wedding, well, then of course you always have an option for a park or someplace else. But we were very fortunate to be able to utilize our backyard space. So one popular option for outdoor weddings is the backyard wedding. If you or a family member have a large, well-maintained backyard, this can be an incredible option for you. It allows you to have complete control over the decor, seating arrangements, and can be the most cost-effective option than renting a venue. However, keep in mind that you may need to rent additional equipment, such as tents and lighting, to ensure your backyard is wedding ready. So again, this was our tent that we had, and we actually had borrowed one of our neighbors' tents for under the dessert table. We actually got rained on early in the morning and then for a short portion of the reception. So having that tent, I'm going to get a little bit more into that in more detail, but having that tent was key because we were watching the storms and so we saw that it's just going to be quick. It's going to go right over us. And so we were very fortunate with that. So, another option is to rent a private estate or villa, and this can provide a beautiful and intimate setting for your wedding while also offering more privacy than a traditional venue. Private estates often have gardens or outdoor areas that can be used for the ceremony and reception, and some even offer an on-site accommodations for you and your guests for changing and whatnot. So, and also a kitchen. If you're looking for a more rustic or natural setting, consider a farm or a ranch wedding, or even better, a barn wedding. Those are so cool. Or a greenhouse wedding. You can get one. You can see some beautiful wedding photos at Goldner Walsh Garden and Home in their greenhouse wedding space. Incredible event space. That was actually, if we wouldn't have done our outdoor wedding reception, we were going to utilize Goldner Walsh, and it was just phenomenal. But if you're looking for a more rustic or natural setting, consider a farm or a ranch wedding, or again, even a vineyard, a beach, a winery. There's so many options, guys. These venues often have beautiful natural scenery and can provide a unique and memorable backdrop for your wedding photos. Additionally, many farm and ranch venues also offer on-site catering and accommodations, which can incredibly simplify the planning process. So if you're looking for a more traditional venue, consider a park or a garden wedding. Many parks and gardens have designated areas for weddings and can provide a beautiful natural setting for your ceremony and reception. Additionally, these venues often offer on-site amenities such as restrooms and parking, which can make your wedding day run much more smoothly. One example of that is Greenfield Village at their St. Mary's Cathedral. They do offer wedding packages there, and it is beautiful. So when choosing the perfect location for your backyard wedding, consider your budget, guest list, and personal preferences. So explore the different options such as backyard weddings, private estates, farm and ranch weddings, park or garden weddings, because you do want to find that perfect venue for your very special day. Oh, now organization and planning, my favorite thing to do, right? And if you guys have been following me for any amount of time, you know that January every year I do a blog series on organization. And so this is me implementing. If you remember, and if you followed me during that time, you remember my list making blog. And so that is crucial. And as you can see, I made a list for the week before, so Monday through Sunday, and then I did the week of Monday through Thursday, day before, so Friday, and day of. And the day of included like hourly. And these are often found also in wedding planners, which I did utilize, and I'll show you guys in a little bit. But I like my pieces of paper and my checklist that I can check it off. As you can see, I use my pink permanent marker and checked it off as I went along, and just felt so productive. And also, friends, when you are doing this and when you have your checklist, you are not trying to do everything in a day. What I did was I created the entire list. And of course, I added to it during those 2 weeks. But this allowed me to have one major list and then break it down to each day and the week of. So definitely want to create a checklist for it. And if you are not a list maker, then again, in any wedding planner book, you will find that they will have the week of, month of, and month before, 6 months, everything, when to book all of your DJ, photographer, venue, whatever it is, caterer. Okay, so creating that outdoor wedding checklist. Planning an outdoor wedding can be a daunting task, but with a detailed checklist, you can stay organized and ensure everything runs smoothly. Your outdoor wedding checklist should include all the tasks and details you need to consider, from selecting a venue to arranging transportation for your guests. And here are some key items to include on your checklist. So, selecting your venue. Choose the perfect location for your backyard wedding, whether it's a private estate, farm, barn, park, or garden. Then you need to consider hiring your vendors. So you want to book your caterer, your florist, photographer, and any other vendors you need for that special day. So DJ, live entertainment, and any other thing, your hairstylist, getting your nails done, and depending on what you're going to do and how much you are going to incorporate. And then decide on your guest list. But even before that, decide on your total number of attendees. And like I said at the beginning of this video, at my other home, I could have easily entertained up to 150 guests. Our guest was at 100, but in our new home, we had to downsize that, and unfortunately cut a lot of people that we really, really wanted at our wedding reception, but we just couldn't include them. So it was primarily our immediate family and a couple close friends. So when you're creating that guest list, decide who you want to invite to your wedding and create that list according to your limitations. And then you want to send your invitations. Send out your wedding invitations, including RSVP cards and any other necessary information. So that back up in the hiring your vendors, you're also looking for your invitations at that point. Um, Choose your wedding attire. Select your wedding dress, your groom's suit, and attire for your wedding party. And it also depends on how many, if you're having any, bridesmaids or ushers. For us, we did not do that. We had my kids there, and so all of my children walked me to Dave and gave me away. My oldest son was who I had my arm through. So I did match everybody. I bought all my boys' shirts to match, and I wanted like blues and grays. Dave's shirt was white, but it matched with the boys. And then I bought my daughter her dress, and then I asked all of their partners to try to match as best they could, and they did a phenomenal job. So the next thing you want to think about is your wedding decor. What's your theme? What colors are you going to use? So you need to decide on the decorations you want, such as lighting, flowers, and the table settings, and stick with that theme. I used Pinterest. I created a Pinterest board to help me stay focused, because there was a lot of things I like, but the wedding reception was more of a boho theme, very relaxed, and because it was a backyard, I really encouraged no one to wear heels because their heels would go. It was very relaxed and non-traditional. So the next thing you want to think about is selecting your menu and choosing the food and drinks you want to serve at your wedding and arrange for the catering. So we did have our wedding catered, and we also hired a bartender to serve the alcohol there. So again, that was back up in the vendor list, and arranging for music and entertainment. Hire a DJ or a band, or arrange for other entertainment such as a photo booth or games. We had some games out. We put card games on each of the tables, and then we also put some cornhole games out and a can game. But we did not hire a photographer. What I did was I asked all of our attendees and our guests to please take a bunch of different pictures from their perspective, and then to send those to me, which many people did, and I really appreciated that. So if you are having people come in from out of town, you definitely want to think about, finding a hotel or two and booking different spots for them. Blocks is what it's referred to. And then thinking about the transportation, a lot of hotels will have a valet that they will take your guests from the hotel to the reception and back. So plan for bad weather. And this was something that, with an outdoor wedding, you have to have a backup plan. And that, again, is why we took our guest list from 100 to 50, like I mentioned in the beginning. We would not have been able to comfortably accommodate 100 people in our home. Backyard, sure, even 75 to 100, including our front yard, we could have made that work. But it did rain on our wedding day. So it rained in the morning. We were able to move all the cushions from the patio area under the tent, which protected that. But right before the ceremony, our wedding started at 6 p.m. The ceremony was going to be at 7, and dinner was at 7:15. It rained. It started raining pretty good at about 6:25 and 6:20, and it rained for about 15 minutes, and all of the cushions got wet. So that was an unfortunate thing, that we lost that seating space. I could have brought plastic out, but we were okay. I made sure we had enough additional seating just in case. But no matter what, plan for bad weather. Everybody was like, say, oh, it's great, Jean, don't worry, it's good luck when it rains on your wedding. So I heard a lot of that. So for any of you listening and thinking about doing this, it's good luck if it rains on your wedding. But make plans. So one last thing you might not have considered is obtaining permits and following regulations. Research any permits or regulations you need to follow, such as noise ordinances or permits for alcohol. So for us, we hired a bartender, but we purchased all the alcohol, so she was just serving it. And then also, for food trucks, if you want to have a food truck at a backyard wedding, you need to make sure that your city or your township allows for food trucks on your street, in your parking lot. Most of the time, though, if you have them in your driveway or on your private property, you're pretty good. But the food truck may need to have a special permit to serve in your community. So make sure you ask the right questions of even your food trucks and your vendors. So there's a lot. And as you can see, there's more of my checklist, more pink check marks, and you can see even some additional notes that I threw in there that you can tell were added later. So creating that detailed outdoor wedding checklist can help you stay organized. It will keep you organized and ensure that everything runs smoothly on your special day, including all the tasks and details you need to consider, from selecting your venue to arranging transportation for your guests. So be sure to read my blog on creating lists. So now, how are you going to invite your guests? Wedding invitations and a guest list are the next thing we're going to talk about. So I did not order or create wedding invitations. What Dave and I did, again, because it was this is both of our second marriages. Not that that's less important than the first, but we just wanted this one to be a little more intimate. Even with 100 guests at the other home, what we were planning, it was more intimate. It was our friends and our family, and in our special space, in our home. And so Dave and I created a Facebook event and invited everybody that we were Facebook friends with on there, messaged them. Anybody that was not on Facebook that we invited, we sent a personal text message to. And so that was the way we handled that. But many people include invitations, and that's part of your guest list. So one of the most important aspects of planning your outdoor wedding is creating your guest list and sending out your wedding invitations. So your guest list will determine the size of your wedding, like we've talked about, and the number of invitations you need to send out. So it's important to start this process early. It's one of your first things you want to consider. Here are some tips for creating your guest list and sending out your wedding invitations. So start early. Begin working on your guest list and invitation invitations as soon as possible. And this will give you plenty of time to make any necessary changes and ensure your invitations are sent out in a timely manner. So you also need to determine your budget. Decide how many guests you can afford to invite based on your budget. Keep in mind that outdoor weddings tend to be more cost effective than traditional indoor weddings, but you still need to consider the cost of catering, decorations, and other miscellaneous expenses. Like for me, one of the miscellaneous expenses were the linens that I bought. I purchased the crepe silk fabric to cover each of the poles on the tent. I didn't want the metal poles showing. I wanted it to be a little prettier. So that was, another expense. So you may be saving on the venue, which gives you more money to play with in the other areas of in your wedding. So take all that into consideration, and then consider your venue. Think about the size of your venue and how many guests it can comfortably accommodate. This will help you determine how many invitations you need to send out. Decide on plus ones and determine whether or not you allow guests to bring a plus one. And if so, who is eligible for a plus one? Also, kids. Are you going to have kids at your wedding? I did not have children at my wedding because of the space limitations, as well as, we wanted this to be more of an adult party. My one grandson did have to come, and that was fine because they could not find other accommodations. And that was 100% awesome. I loved having Grace in there. But it was also a date night for my kids to not have to babysit their kids, and for my other guests. So think about it from that perspective as well. Creating your guest list. Create a spreadsheet or document to keep track of your guest list. Include each guest name, address, and RSVP status. And also, if you saw on the previous slide, I also had some hand notes like I spoke to so-and-so and she confirmed that they will be coming because they weren't on Facebook. So think about all those little logistics, because I promise you, no matter how good you are at planning and remembering things, you will not be able to remember every little detail that somebody tells you when you are dealing with 50 plus people, even 25, even 10. So choose your invitations, selecting your wedding invitations, including the design, the font, and wording. So make sure to include all necessary information, such as the date, the time, and location of your wedding, as well as any dress code or other requirements. And also, if you are utilizing a hotel, put that information in there as well. That usually will give you a little additional card for that. And RSVP, oh my gosh, RSVP. The most frustrating thing is when you are giving people a specific date to RSVP because you need that for ordering invitations, for booking the caterer, booking your tent and tables, and how many chairs you need. That is really important. So if you're a guest and you to an upcoming wedding, be sure to do that, or any type of event, RSVP. So send out your invitations, and sending out your invitations at least 6 to 8 weeks before your wedding date. This will give your guests plenty of time to RSVP and make any necessary travel arrangements that they may need, including booking a hotel. So follow up with non-responders. If you haven't received a response from some of your guests, follow up with them to ensure that you have an accurate head count. So creating your guest list and sending out your invitations is a really important part of planning your outdoor wedding. So start early, consider your budget and venue size, and ensure you include all the necessary information in those invitations. So for us, one thing I do want to just throw in here is we were actually waiting for the date to find out when my son Ryan, the Marine, was coming in. His girlfriend's brother was getting married the weekend after. So we were trying to figure out what day Ryan and Haley were going to be in town, what day her brother's wedding and reception were going to be, so that we wouldn't conflict with anything. And so that was one of the reasons. So we actually only had about 2 months to plan all of this. So it can be done. It can be not that stressful when you're utilizing those lists and your tasks, keeping all your tasks in order, and assigning, delegating jobs where they need to be. My daughter was incredible. She came and helped me the day before with the food prep, which I appreciate so much. And then my good friend Beth, she came the day of and decorated the entire dessert table. So, if you have your friends and family that can be with help, don't be, you know, don't be too humble to accept help when it's necessary, because those people really do love you. So let's talk about clothing, wedding attire for your bride, groom, and guests. And choosing the perfect wedding attire for your outdoor wedding is a very important part of creating the perfect ambience for your special day. The right attire can help you look and feel your best while also complementing the natural beauty of your surroundings. So here are some tips for selecting the wedding attire for the bride, groom, and attendees. So the bride's attire. The bride's wedding dress is one of the most important aspects of her wedding day. And when selecting a wedding dress for an outdoor wedding, consider the weather and the natural surroundings. So a lightweight dress with breathable fabric can help keep you cool and comfortable, while a dress with lace or floral accents can complement the natural beauty of your surroundings. Additionally, consider wearing flat or low-heeled shoes to avoid sinking into the grass or other outdoor surfaces. And like I did mention earlier in this episode, I did in the invitation on our Facebook wedding event invite, I told my guests it was going to be a casual boho wedding attire. Don't wear heels, wear flats, because you'll sink into the grass. So thinking about all those little details really is important. And then Dave and I, again, we wanted a more of a boho theme, a very relaxed kind of hippie feel. And I feel that we were able to do that. So groom's attire is also very important, and it should complement the bride's wedding dress while also taking into account the natural surroundings. So for an outdoor wedding, consider a lightweight suit or dress pants and a button-down shirt. A vest or suspenders can also add a stylish touch, while a bow tie or necktie can complement the look. Additionally, consider wearing comfortable shoes that can withstand outdoor surfaces such as dress boots or loafers. And Dave did do that. Again, I mentioned, I ordered all the boys' shirts. They were very linen feel, light feel, very relaxed feel. And Dave's shirt matched that, being the same shirt, but he also matched white with my dress. So your guest attire. When selecting attire for guests, consider the dress code and the natural surroundings. For a more casual outdoor wedding, guests can wear sundresses, khakis, or dress shorts. For a more formal outdoor wedding, guests should wear cocktail or formal dresses and dress pants and button-down shirts. Additionally, consider the weather and the terrain when selecting shoes, as guests may need to walk on grass or other outdoor surfaces. So thinking about that too, also you could see my kids, they all matched, which was important to me. And so I did plan that most of the colors were like a blue and gray theme. So now that your attire is chosen, let's think about outdoor decorations and lighting, which is very important, especially if this is going to go into the evening. So outdoor wedding decorations and lighting can help create the perfect ambiance for your special day. From elegant floral arrangements to twinkling string lights, the right decor can complement the natural beauty of your surroundings and make your wedding day unforgettable. So here are a few ideas for outdoor decorations and lighting. Floral arrangements. So, like I mentioned earlier, in the center picture, you can see I purchased about 4 or 5 different pre-packaged bouquets and types of flowers from a Kroger, actually. And then in the first picture, you can see the hydrangeas, which I harvested from my beautiful hydrangea bush in our front yard, right off of our front porch. You can also see in the completed vases the arrangements to the right, the hosta leaves, the green and the white. Well, I was able to harvest several of my hosta leaves, and my neighbor also let me take a lot of hers. Hers are solid green and mine were variegated with the green and white, which added a really pleasant touch to our bouquets. So your floral arrangements can add a touch of elegance and romance to your outdoor wedding. So consider incorporating local flowers and greenery into your decor to complement the natural beauty of your surroundings. And consider using flowers and greenery to create the natural arc or a backdrop for your ceremony if you do choose to have one of those. Lighting. So we had a few different types of lighting for our outdoor wedding. And wedding lighting can help create a warm and inviting atmosphere for your special day. So consider using twinkle lights or lanterns to create a romantic ambiance, or using uplighting to highlight any special features of your venue. Additionally, consider using candles or votives to add soft glow to your reception tables. So I pretty much did all of these things. You can see the first picture, Dave and I put together all of our paper lanterns, which in the center picture you can see were hung from the rafters in the tent. We also used twinkle lights under the fabric on the poles of the tent. We utilized tiki lights around the patio area as well as the deck. And then we also had those big, party lights, that are the deck lights that went around the deck. So we also used candles and votives as well. So we tried to incorporate that type of lighting to make a very natural feel in the wedding space. Seating is extremely important, and it can be customized to fit your personal style and preferences. Consider using wooden benches or chairs for a more rustic look, or use elegant white chairs for a more traditional look. Additionally, consider using unique seating arrangements such as lounge areas or picnic tables to create a more relaxed and casual atmosphere. So we did rent our tent table and the white chairs, and we did choose the a little bit more expensive white padded chairs, the wedding chairs, just for practical reasons. We wanted our guests to be comfortable, and they do look much nicer than just the regular metal or wood chairs. We did have the patio area, and then in the first picture, you can see the patio area, and to the left of that, we had some Adirondack chairs. And then in the center photo, we had another seating area with a few more Adirondack chairs. We also had our deck up top, which seated 6 to 8 more people up on the deck. So we easily accommodated 50 people in our yard. We also used the Adirondack chairs with pillows to make the area look a little more festive. But I do want to throw in there also, if you have a fall wedding and you have like a long, like almost like a farm to table wedding, using straw bales as seating in your yard and putting mums next to it is just, with pumpkins and gourds, is just lovely. So that is, think about your season that you're having your reception in. If it's a winter, you're more than likely not doing it outdoors unless you're in part of the country that has no snow. Fall is an incredibly beautiful time of year to have a wedding, and then obviously spring and summer. So take into consideration the time of year and utilize, the natural elements from those seasons as well. Fall was a hard press second to our summer wedding. So table settings, think about what type of decor you want to use. Outdoor wedding table settings can be customized to fit your personal style and preferences. Consider using natural elements such as wood slices or burlap table runners to complement the natural beauty of your surroundings. Additionally, consider using unique centerpieces such as lanterns or succulent gardens to add a personal touch to your reception tables. So as you can see here, I created floral arrangements for the table. I used some votives, and then we also had, later we put a chip bowl, and those little paper cups were for that. And then we also had a deck of card. I made homemade jam as the favor for each of my guests. So as you can see, we placed a little bottle of jam at each setting as a place setting as well. So outdoor food and drinks. So these are probably the two most important aspects of your wedding reception, whether it's an indoor, outdoor, wherever it is. The food and the alcohol, the drinks are going to be what the people talk about, besides the decorations and the bride's dress. So choosing the right food and drinks for your outdoor wedding is a very important part of creating the perfect ambiance for your special day. From casual outdoor barbecues to elegant sit-down dinners, the right menu can complement the natural beauty of your surroundings and make your wedding day unforgettable. Here are some tips for selecting food and drinks for your outdoor wedding. Before I get into that, this was our appetizers table. And I mentioned earlier that my daughter Taylor, she came over and she created this beautiful veggie platter. And then also, I'll have more pictures of them, but on each side of that is a beautiful charcuterie board that she created with incorporating nuts and cheeses and meats and olives and some fruit. And then I made my own dips for this. I made my homemade ranch. I bought the hummus, the dill dip, and the pickles. But as you can see, the food not only has to be delicious, but it really should be beautiful. Selecting a catering service. Unless you are going to cook your own food, which I really highly recommend you don't, because it is incredibly a consuming time-consuming task. And this is probably going to be one of your next highest budgets is the caterer. But again, if you have an outdoor backyard wedding, you are saving a lot of money on your venue expense. So you can spend a little bit more on your alcohol and your food. So this was a part of the table. We hired a barbecue. We did barbecue. So we had pulled pork, we had barbecue chicken, barbecue baked beans, and then roasted red potatoes. Then we did purchase alongside of that some coleslaw, some dinner buns, and then we made fruit cups, which you can see they're still covered here. But they're like a mixed fruit cup. And then we bought dips to go with the fruit. And then I made a delicious whipped butter, similar to those large steakhouse. So it was a cinnamon sugar butter. And I put those all in individual little containers with the dinner buns. So that was incredible. And then we also had an area where for the food, we had slider buns for the pulled pork. So when you're selecting your catering service for your outdoor wedding, you really want to consider your personal preferences, budget, and type of cuisine you want to serve. So many catering services offer customizable menus to fit your specific needs and can also provide staff to help with setup and service and cleanup. So we had Redwood Grill provide food for our wedding reception. I've worked with them in the past and I know their food is absolutely incredible. They brought the food per our request and set it up for us. And then it was a self-serve dinner. So, but they did a great job and I recommend them highly. But choosing your menu, thinking about what style your wedding is. And again, I told you, Dave and I were having a more casual wedding. And so we thought an outdoor barbecue. We even thought about a hog roast, which you can do. That's incredible. But we wanted something that was not too messy and super delicious, but that was, not quite finger food, but it was still like somewhat nice and formal. So choosing your menu, consider the time of the day, the dress code, and the type of atmosphere you want to create. For a more formal outdoor wedding, consider a sit-down dinner with multiple courses. For a more casual outdoor wedding, consider a buffet style meal or barbecue with grilled meats and sides like what we did. And it worked out perfect. People just were all over the food and they just, they devoured it. Oh, you know what? I do want to go back. Is it going to let me? No. Oh, whoops. Hold on one sec, friends. I have to go back there. I thought I forgot something. Okay. As you can see in the back, I do have a slide coming up on the desserts, but you can see the dessert table is set up right behind the food. Okay. So here are the menu boards I was telling you about earlier and the tiki bar. So that tiki bar is ours. I, again, as you all know, if you follow me for any amount of time, do a lot of entertaining. And for my 50th birthday, we did a Hawaiian luau and I bought that tiki bar then, but it has served many parties since then. So I did hire a bartender because I didn't want people self-serving. I didn't want the mess of, after people have a few drinks and stuff being everywhere and things getting spilled. So we spent the money on a bartender and it was one of the best expenses we did. Very, very incredible young lady that did the event. So when you're selecting your drinks for your outdoor wedding, consider the time of day and the type of atmosphere again that you want to create. From a daytime wedding, consider serving refreshing cocktails or mocktails, as well as non-alcoholic beverages such as lemonade or iced tea. For an evening wedding, consider serving wine, beer, and spirits, as well as a signature cocktail or two. So we went all out. I feel we bought wine. We had 6 different types of wine, including a sangria. We did margaritas. We had liquor. We had several mixers. We had beer. And then we also had like a lot of like wine coolers, like the Seagram Escapes, Smirnoffs, White Claws, and hard seltzers, which you can see from the or from the menu boards here. So and on the first picture with the tiki bar, you can see where Dave hung my menu boards up so people could clearly see those. They were decorative. They, were really fit into the whole scheme of things. And it allowed people to see what they could order instead of wasting the bartender's time or they're like, oh, well, can you make this or can you make that? And they still could. And I know she did make a couple Long Islands, which weren't necessarily on the menu, but she had the liquor to do it. So taken into consideration. We also had water for those that didn't want to drink. We had iced tea. So if you look on the tiki bar, you can see 3 drink jugs. The one to the left, the clear one, that was the sangria. The metal tin was sweetened iced tea, which they could use to mix in drinks or just have tea. And the other one was the margarita mix that the bartender would then throw a shot of tequila in, or 2, which is what I drank. But we also had water in the cooler. So for the bartender, I should have taken a picture of this, but I had everything labeled. You can't really see the back of the bar, but I had another table with all of my galvanized metal tubs, and I had the one Bud Light in one, I had the Seagrams in one, and everything was labeled, and we had the flavor label facing forward so the bartender could see that. On the ground behind there was, you can see one big white cooler, that was where the extra ice was, and any overflow juice. We also had coolers for each of the other beers along the ground. So everything was labeled. We made it very easy for our bartender. We had shot glasses, we had garnishes, so the lemon and the lime with a knife and a cutting board. Everything was there provided for her, and it was very helpful. She really appreciated that and said that it was one of the best weddings that she served at, considering the organization that we provided for her, so she didn't have to try to remember where everything was. We also had another cooler behind the white one where it was pop. So again, people who didn't want to drink had iced tea. They had all the different pops, and they had water to enjoy. So if you didn't have to drink. And you definitely want to consider that for your guests. And so considering dietary restrictions, and then your desserts. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about our desserts. Like I said, my good friend Beth, I had the table all set up with all the plates, the labels, and everything for Beth. But then she took all the fresh fruits and added that to it and decorated each of the platters with the desserts as I asked her to. And as you can see, the dessert table was just beautiful. And so we had lemon bars, we had brownies, we had 4 different types of cookies, we had vanilla and chocolate cupcakes, and then we even divided that up a little bit more with buttercream frosting, and then also Cool Whip, like a lighter Cool Whip frosting. And then what I did was I ordered those cupcakes from from Kroger. And let me just tell you something, those are the best cupcakes. They are so good, and the frosting is so good, and they were so reasonably priced. And I'm not trying to knock any private bakeries. Of course, I'm always about supporting local, but sometimes with the budget, you want to, utilize your funds a little differently. And so we were very pleased with them. But what I had them do is I did not have them decorate them at all. I went to my garden, I harvested some mint leaves, I put a mint leaf in each one, and then I used blackberries, blueberries, strawberries, and raspberries to identify each of the varieties. So each, blueberries were all the Cool Whip frosting, chocolate, and whatnot. So identifying that allowed our guests to enjoy it a little bit more and enjoy the desserts, but when they got there with a nice drink. So, but also consider dietary restrictions. My good friend and who did the ceremony, she is a vegetarian, vegan, and so we did incorporate some vegetarian and vegan options. So we did a black bean burger that we did cook prior to the reception. So you really want to take that into consideration. I do want to say that, we had nuts. We told people that we were going to have that. And you do want to take that into consideration too. Some people do have allergies to those things. So you do want to let people know what you're going to be serving. So when you're selecting your menu, consider those dietary restrictions or any allergies that your guests may have. Make sure to offer vegetarian, vegan, and gluten-free options, which we did, as well as any other special requests that your guests may have. So selecting the right food and the drinks for your outdoor wedding can help create the perfect atmosphere for your special day. So consider selecting a catering service, choosing your menu, selecting your drinks, and accommodating any dietary restrictions or allergies. It'll just make the day that much nicer. So, music and entertainment for your outdoor wedding is really important. When we were originally planning our outdoor wedding at our out home, I did have my good friend AJ Lynn, who was going to perform. We, quite frankly, just did not have the space for that type of live entertainment, and I didn't really want to DJ. So that was not something I was interested in having. So we hooked up our outdoor speakers, and after the ceremony, we just piped in music through our streaming services, and that was more than perfect. It allowed people to enjoy the music. People could dance if they want. There was an area, but we didn't really have any dancing at our reception, although people could have. So music and entertainment can help create the perfect atmosphere for your outdoor wedding. From live bands to DJs to photo booths, the right entertainment can keep your guests engaged and make your wedding day more unforgettable. So here are some tips for selecting music and entertainment for your outdoor wedding. Live bands, if you have the space, have it. They're great. Live bands can provide a unique and memorable experience for your guests, and consider selecting a band that specializes in the type of music that you want to hear, whether it's jazz, country, or pop. Um, Consider hiring a band that can play both during the ceremony and the reception to keep your guests entertained throughout the day. DJs are also another great option, and they provide a very versatile and customizable experience for your guests. So, when considering selecting a DJ, you want them to be able to play a wide range of music, as well as take requests from your guests. And consider creating a playlist for your favorite songs to ensure your DJ plays the music you want to hear. The one thing with a band, like I was mentioning, I was hiring my friend AJ to play. She also has played for me at many of my events. I've hired her, and she has a system that she can play whatever music you want during her breaks and between sets. So photo booths are another great thing you can incorporate into your wedding. Photo booths provide a fun and an interactive experience for your guests, and consider renting a photo booth that includes props and backdrops to create a unique and memorable experience for your from your guests. So, wedding transportation and parking. This is very important when thinking about your outdoor backyard wedding if you're having it at your home. If you're having it in a venue or a private estate or something, they are going to have those accommodations situated for you. But if you're having an outdoor wedding like we did, we really had to consider, okay, where are all these people going to park? We live on a dead end road. It's a dirt road. And we did communicate with several of our neighbors, letting them know what was happening. So my one neighbor, she was like, well, why don't you guys park your cars? You can get two in her driveway. And then my neighbor across the street also allowed some of my kids to park on her lawn across the street, allowing for more room in our personal driveway, as well as in front of our house and lawn, and then parking down the street. So it worked for us. But again, we only had 50 guests. So you're thinking about maybe 25, 30 cars at most when you're thinking about couples and families coming together. So signage is a big thing. So when it comes to outdoor wedding transportation and parking, there are a few things to consider. And here are a few tips and tricks to help you plan for your guests' arrival and departure. So parking, make sure there's plenty of parking available for your guests. If your backyard doesn't have enough parking, consider renting a nearby lot or providing transportation from a nearby location. Transportation. If your guests will be traveling from a hotel or other location, consider providing transportation to and from your backyard wedding. This will make it easier for your guests to arrive on time and enjoy themselves throughout the evening. Provide directions. I mean, this is not quite as important as it used to be, but you want to be able to give everybody an address that they can use GPS. You can actually go to Google Earth and slide in the address, and you can get the exact coordinates and provide that on your online invitation as well. So think about that. Make sure to provide detailed directions to your backyard wedding to ensure your guests arrive safely and on time. Okay, so we talked about this a little bit earlier. I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail, but planning backup plan for your bad weather if it happens. While outdoor weddings are beautiful, they're also susceptible to bad weather, just like any outdoor event. We are completely subject to the weather, whether it's raining, snowing, or windy, or cold or hot. So here are some tips to help you create a backup plan for your backyard wedding. So think about a tent. Like I said, we rented a tent, and that literally saved us. Most of the people fit under the tent or in the dining room. They came in the house. And then we had two other tents where the food was. And so That saved us. Renting a tent to provide cover in case of rain or other inclement weather. Make sure the tent is large enough to accommodate all of your guests, or like we did, we accommodate a portion because we had other outdoor seating available. But make sure to have this location reserved in advance and have a plan in place to quickly move your guests and equipment if necessary. Communication. Keep your guests informed of any changes to the location or schedule due to bad weather. Make sure to provide detailed instructions on where to go and what to do in case of a weather emergency. So if you are utilizing an outdoor venue, but they do have an indoor space, that is something you definitely want to make sure you are in your plans prior to your big day. So again, we talked a little bit about permits and regulations. Checking into your area's permits and any specific regulations you need will help save you from potential bad experience. Before hosting your backyard wedding, it's so important to check for any permits or regulations that may apply. And here are a few things to consider when you're planning your outdoor wedding. Permits. Check with your local government to see if you need any permits for your outdoor wedding, including your tent. This may include parking, tents, or other equipment. Noise regulations are also something to consider. Make sure to check for any noise regulations that may apply to your backyard wedding. This will prevent any potential issues with neighbors or local authorities. So if you're having outdoor music, this is where this becomes so important. Most of the time, if it's just your guests, they're not going to be too loud, but definitely for music, you definitely want to check into that. And then fire regulations. If you plan to have a bonfire or other open flame at your wedding, make sure to check with any fire regulations that may apply. This will ensure the safety of your guests and your property. And I did mention also for food trucks. If you are having food trucks, make sure that they have all their licensing, and this is something you should be asking them. Make sure that if they have to have their a city permit for your city, that's something you need to check for, because you may be responsible for some of that because you didn't do your due diligence. So save the headache. So in all, planning your outdoor backyard wedding can be a daunting task, but with the right checklist and preparation, you can create a beautiful and unforgettable wedding experience. From selecting the perfect location to choosing your wedding attire, there are many factors to consider when planning your outdoor wedding. So however, with the right planning and attention to detail, you can make your dream wedding a reality, like we did. So, to see more episodes like this one, visit me at my blog at fordragonfliesandme.com and be sure to subscribe there and here so you don't miss a beat. And again, one more time, if you found value in this video, if you enjoyed it, if you thought like, oh, wow, I really got something, be sure to smash that like button, and even better, smash the subscribe button, but also leave me a comment. I love hearing feedback from you. Did you do an outdoor wedding? How did you handle bad weather? What did you do for food? Was there something I didn't think of that I forgot in this that you think that I should use or include? Put that in the comments so other people who are checking it out will see, oh, wow, I didn't think of that either. So I really do appreciate your feedback. So again, thanks so much for joining me today. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to visit me at my podcast, blog, and of course, my social media platforms on both Facebook and Instagram for additional daily inspiration for your home and garden. So now I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to say, like I always do, to be sure to eat fresh, shop local, and have a happy day, friends. And I will see you again soon, either in the garden or in the kitchen. Take care, friends.